Okay, back to you,
All
David.
right. So take a moment and think of your intention for being here today. What is it that brings you here? That, I mean, you could be doing lots of other things. I know it brings me here and what I care about. This work's really important to me. Um, let's see, if I had to put it in a sentence or two, what moves me to be here is I think it's really important that we reclaim our whole selves, our bodies that put us in touch with this earth and that connects us to our abilities and faculties for deep connection and community. Because I think, to me, that's my activism. I see that as it's so important if we want to create a world for future generations. You know, that matters to me. What matters to you? Because this is the core of the work. It begins here. Who was asked, when you came to school when you were a kid, what do you care about? What would you love to learn today? What brings you here that matters to you? Who has asked any of those questions? Raise your hand. What we're taught is how to think. That gets rewarded or punished, but not how you feel. So we end up not exercising our ability to feel. And that's what we're here to do, is to reclaim our ability our to feel what we feel. And when we feel what we feel, we can also listen into what it is that matters to us, our needs in NVC language. So take a look at who you're with right now. Look around at the people you're with right here. We're all real people. This is not a movie, even though it's a screen. And in your own quiet way, just appreciate that we get to learn together here. And notice how that feels. I might ask you questions. Feel free to decline if you don't feel like answering them, but sometimes I do that. Meta, can I ask you, how does it feel to just take a moment and appreciate that?
The first word that came to my mind is honored. I felt honored to be in sharing this moment with people, that people took time and that I took time and you took time. And that's something that we're not getting back in any way. So I feel honored to be around you.
Yeah. Everybody too, this is a wonderful way to practice not only listening to the words, but listening to the communication under the words. Listening to the nonverbal communication. And a way we can do that, to break it down into that, because this is such an important part of what we communicate. I could come in and go, I have historical patterns. We all have historical patterns in us. Mine was this is me as a kid, leaning against the wall, watching, not really speaking out, protecting my heart. This is that shape. We all have those in us. But if I came to class today and I said, hi, I'm very relaxed. My name is David. And Let's all, let's all work together. This is what I'm transmitting. And all the nice, calm, comfortable words I say almost don't matter if you're feeling, because you're going to be feeling. You feel before you think. That's why all that we communicate from here down is so important. So take a moment, that feeling of honored, Meta? When you feel that, can I ask you a question? And again, feel free to decline. I want to, for me, that what's most important is we have a safe place to do this work. Because when you go to your body, you are like right there immediately. And so just to be in choice. And if you say, no, I don't want to do that, David, what you're going to get from me is, thank you, Meta, for taking care of yourself. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to just share that because that's important that we create a safe place. That is really important to me, and something as if I'm in lead. So Meta, when you feel honored, imagine that moment again. And what goes on inside you as you feel honored?
I feel a hug from the inside.
And where is that?
In my chest. This part of chest. At first it was like a pressure, but that word didn't feel right. So I was like, no, it's not a pressure. It's actually a hug. It's feeling that pressure, but in a nice way, like a hug.
Wow, what a beautiful description. Never quite heard it that way. Everyone's different. And so this is your body talking to you. And again, if you just to sometimes it feels like pain, sometimes it feels beautiful. Anytime our body is doing something, it's talking to us. And usually it feels like pain if we're ignoring it, because our bodies really want to help us. At any rate, the point I want to make right now is we have many strategies, and in some of the work that we'll be doing in the training that I will be facilitating is moving to face those places, not force them, not push them, not try to open them, but to be present with them empathically, as we would with another person who's might be hiding from us or afraid or nervous or shy. How do you be present without pushing? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Any question about that from anyone? Feel free to stop me anytime and ask a question too. So what moves you? What it moves you to be here? What is a question, that comes to you that's good? I'm gonna do this today. This is what I care about, and this is what I would enjoy or love. So can I maybe just a sentence or two as we go around the room? I already mentioned what moves me to be here. I watch, my grandchildren, very young. I have two 3-year-old grandchildren from each son. But also for a long time, I really do care about the children and future generations as an activist in the world. And finding our voice is really important. and to be able to powerfully speak what matters to us from our whole selves is, I think, can be one of the what I want to contribute to creating change that's positive. That's why I'm here. Continue that. How about you? And what moves you to be here today? Can I ask you, Elizabeth?
Yes, I just have to. Some months ago that I was speaking English, so I have to.
Oh, okay.
So it's not so easy today, but it will come. No problem. I'll try to answer. I saw Dimitri's email just this morning, and there was just one sentence about your work where I was really attracted by. I think it was, I'm not sure, it was about different steps of empathy, something like this. Mm-hmm. And this made me really, really curious.
Oh, yeah.
And in a very big sense, I'm here because for me, it's really important. What does life mean? To be alive. And life is always relationships with us and with nature and within nature, being in contact with that. That is it for me.
Beautiful.
And I felt really, that it was really important for you that we are here really present. And I felt really that I was important for you. That being present here was important for you. And this made me be more present. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I really, that is important to me.
Yes, and perhaps is this to feel welcome. Mm-hmm. It's even more to be important.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say that even though I didn't articulate it, my attitude here is that we are in a circle, and everybody has something really, everybody has a unique perspective. And I'm very curious about each other's, because I think the more we can learn to listen to each other's perspective, the more we can see the big picture. So that to me is the value of empathy. Is that's how we can really listen to and more clearly to what other people's vantage or perspective. Thank you, Elizabeth. How about you, Michaela? Is that how you say that your name, Michaela? Michaela?
Yes, it can be Michaela. Hello. So
Hi.
I came here because I felt like it. I wish I could say it more NBC way, but I really just felt like it. I thought, yeah, I want to join. I have no idea why. No idea. There was I think I was listening to my body. There was like a force within myself. So I guess I did it in alignment with my intuition and kind of coincidence that I'm alone and I can join and I have this opportunity, which normally I don't. And yeah, and I'm surprised, so surprised that I'm here with nobody, not knowing anyone except Natalia. And I enjoy it already.
Thank you. Michaela, would you like to try something? This is kind of interesting piece. Based on what you were saying. Again, feel free to decline. Now, you said it's like, yeah, I don't know what drew me here. My body was like, yeah. So try this. Just as this is a practice, by the way. Everything we do is a practice, in my understanding. You're practicing right now. You're practicing how you're listening or not. You might be practicing how you're judging me or appreciating. You're practicing how you're sitting. You're practicing how you're breathing. This is how we learn. So what we want to do in the work that I would do in our trainings, what I'd like to impress upon people, or what I like to share. Here's a basic overview. Okay. One, really identify, articulate. What do you care about? You know, that question that was never asked to us, and most of us have not practiced. We choose from out there, oh, I'll take that class, oh, that looks okay, but versus this is what I would love.
What I care about. I care about joy. I care about joy and following whatever brings me joy. And looking for those opportunities where I feel like, oh, this lights me up. And I love to see it when other people do that too. So I search for that, and yeah, that's what I do, and that's what I look for.
So I have a question. Well, Joy, okay, never mind. We could just keep going with all this because it's so one is knowing what you care about. And if I ask this question to everybody, just you don't answer it right now, but just have it. And the question is, what don't you ever get tired of? Ever? If you can answer that, that is that can organize your life. But what don't you ever? Someone asked me that 20 years ago. And it actually, for me, it was, I love when I was teaching Aikido. By the way, it took me about a year to answer it. But what loved about Aikido is as I was teaching, I was learning who I wanted to be. And I was sharing practices for people to learn who they want to be. I love that. And that's what this work is here, that we're here today. It has, to know that what I love has moved me to write a book when I'm not really a writer, to teach in places have been very uncomfortable in front of people, but now I do it. This is what matters to you. So it begins with what matters. One, articulating that. Two is noticing what you practice in your life. For example, I practice this, for many years. I practice so many things. That's the second thing. Notice what you practice physically, emotionally, linguistically, energetically. Three is to discern, do those practices still serve who I want to be now? And then develop the personal practices for becoming who you want to be and practice. That's the simple version. Does that make sense? Okay. Ina, is that how I say your name, Ina? Ina? How do you say your name?
Yes, Ina.
Ina?
Yes.
Can I hear you say it so I can hear it?
Ina.
Ina.
Yes.
What brings you here? That and again, what is it that you're curious about, care about? Moves you to be here?
So I was here 2 days ago. The other trainer had presentation, and I have a very hard week, and it brought me a lot of connection and just a realization what I really enjoy in my life, this connection with people. I was like, yes, this is it. And yeah, it reminded me what matters to me the most.
What about that do you love?
I don't know. It's like an excitement. It's my passion. This connection, this spark with people. It's hard to describe.
So here's a funny question then. You know, that connection that you love and that excitement that you get and that you want to pursue more of that.
Yeah.
For the sake of what?
Oh, it's like life, you know. When I think about it, it's like, whoa, expand. It's something about expanding and aliveness and moving.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that was really powerful. And there's now, if you take all those words you just said, this is a practice too, by the way. You know, we're talking about unlocking the wisdom of our bodies. But if you take all those words and imagine going like this and putting them in your heart for a moment. Yeah, thank you. Good. As you imagine that, and you can ask your heart to help you on this one. If you had to just say what you were just saying in just half a sentence, what moves you here? But imagine that it's coming from that center, your heart center. So you got a little mouth on, you can imagine a little mouth on your heart and it's talking.
It was like in 1 second, it was the answer. It was like that.
What was it? What was that?
Love,
That's what I would ask.
it was love. Love. Yeah. And then I was sad.
What's that?
I was sad.
Yeah. So when that happens, we take a moment. Thank you. This is what empathy feels like. This is the touching. What you feel, you said you feel sad, a sadness. Oh, by the way, look at me. Touched me too. I used to be, one of my practice used to be, I was afraid to cry because men don't cry where I grew up. It's not how I think anymore. I changed that practice. Now when I cry, I sit up because, in dignity, because I know what I'm doing when I am grieving. I'm honoring life. And when someone in the class touches that place, like you just did, I know, it ripples through the class. I'm guessing everybody, did you notice that? Anybody not notice that being moved? Let's see. Anita, when Aina was feeling what she feels, how is that for you?
It was warmth. It contributes to the warmth in my heart, and I can be with her sadness, and
kind of just being present with what is. But it contributes to aliveness in me. It was not sadness in me, but it was the aliveness, the presence, the connection.
Thank you. Aina, how is that for you to hear?
It felt like I'm a little, because I'm a little bit cut off from, because I feel like this now, not now, but in my life, this, and it's like I can't connect. It's something blocking inside of me.
Could you say that again? I'm not sure I understood quite what you said, but I thought
It's like I'm a little bit like too much in myself to connect with Anita, That's the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
So the feeling was that if there was too much going on in you to connect?
yes, it's like I almost didn't listen.
You
Yeah.
wish did you say you wish she didn't listen?
No, that it felt like I almost didn't hear what she said.
Oh.
Yeah.
She said she was deeply moved, and it brought. What did you say, Anita? Maybe you can say it one more time.
Aliveness.
Yeah. So you heard something.
Yes, I was touched, and it contributes to aliveness in me, because when I feel you and see you in sadness, it was present, it was alive, it was true, and it also brings more presence and awareness to our connection, and I felt closer in a way to you. And I'm grateful for that. It contributes.
So grateful. Yeah. I'd like to offer a way, a nonviolent communication reframe that helps me. It's a little altered from normal NVC. I don't think I heard it I don't know where I heard it, whatever. Anyways, you said it felt like sadness. So when you felt that moment of feeling touched, moved, what was the sadness?
It was about, my heart feeling closed. My heart wants to feel love, but at the moment it's not there. And I was thinking about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So it was sad, but was it a sweet sadness?
It was just this, because my heart feels closed, and I'm not used to that, and it's so sad. Yeah.
So the way what I'm hearing, tell me if I'm getting it too. There was a sadness because what you love is when your heart is open, and it was feeling closed.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, it opened a little bit and reminded you what you missed.
It reminded me of the pain that
It reminded you of what you love that you miss.
Oh.
So what I'm suggesting is this. We talk about in nonviolent communication, mourning and celebration. For me, they are two sides of the same coin. They are both gratitude. When you love that connection you feel with an open heart, You celebrate. When you miss it, what you love, you mourn or grieve. When you're celebrating, you're appreciating what you love. That's gratitude. When you're missing what you love, you're appreciating what you miss. It's something that you are grateful for. That's also gratitude. And the more you feel it, they're both honoring life. Feeling that, those tears that you had, or I had, we had, those are a moment where you're honoring life. And that's why my new practice for me, and might consider it, my practice is this: when I feel that, I know I'm touching life. And when I touch life, wherever I touch life, it ripples around. That's empathy. Empathy, when you touch empathically to the life in you or in others, when you touch life, it touches everyone. So for me, Aina, your presence in that moment and now is a gift. That's why I stop and let us all appreciate life in that moment. I'm wondering how that sounds to you.
It's a different perspective. It's like I remembered metta and honoring, the feeling. If it's pleasant or if it's not, it's pointing to the same thing.
Well, you are transmitting, we all transmit our state of being. And how Anita felt what you transmitted was a deep sense of gratitude. And again, this is in group. When we're learning together, we can see how we can see ourselves outside of ourselves a little bit more. That's why the learning can be really accelerated when we learn together like this. It's like, huh? You saw that way? So, but me, I was told as a young person that I shouldn't cry, that I would not be, especially my father, I would not be respected. So for my need for respect and to be appreciated and to be seen, I learned to not cry. And over time, now as an adult, that was something I learned as a young person, and I practiced it and practiced it and practiced it. And so what I care about is deep connection and being of service in the world, to myself, to you, to my grandchildren, to future generations, to my ancestors. That matters to me. And so that's what I care about. I noticed I practiced that I stifled my cry. And then I noticed that's not in service to who I want to be. So now I change my practice. And my practice now is that when I feel like crying, I sit up. And it actually, if you think about crying, it kind of feels good. It's sort of like burping or farting. It's human. So not only do I sit up sometimes, but if it feels good, I enjoy it. I smile. And it seems to be working for me. Because what that really is vulnerability. And when we are skillful I put skillful and vulnerability together. To be vulnerable skillfully is a way to powerfully connect. So I know there's a voice inside of me that says, oh, you shouldn't cry. And you know what I do? Now I turn to that little voice and I say, yeah, I know you told me that. Let's keep trying what we're doing now. Are you with me? Okay. And that's part of the work we do. We will be doing in the training that I'll be sharing. You know, there are old stories, old parts of us, and old strategies. Some of them really serve us, some of us don't. And the most powerful way to change them is to be present with them and listen for the needs under those old strategies. And then make choices with yourself, not against yourself. And you know, that's the same practice we do with other people. Same practices. Any question? Nati, is that how you say your name?
Yes. Well, it's Natalia, but everybody calls me Nati. So,
What is it?
Natalia.
Natalia. Okay. Any question or a thought so far that you might have for me? I'd be curious.
No. No, actually, I was listening, and somehow the words make sense to me. And yeah, especially well, at the beginning, to connect with other. We're here to connect, but somehow we forget about that part. And I didn't realize until you stop and say, okay, let's appreciate each other. Let's look at each other. Oh, okay, there's people here. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that too. I love doing that. It's different. You know, and we acknowledging our bodies too. That's a really that's before when Ina said, took it all, just said love. That to me is the heart of nonviolent communication. All the practices are to be able just to do that. Because when you do that, and you can really actually come from this place, there's never any waste. When I first was learning NVC, I used to go into the prisons and I'd sit in circles with 40 men. And there was this elderly woman from Switzerland. Her name was Lucretia. And she wouldn't say much. But I remember at the end of one of the sessions, this big man says, I don't want to be violent anymore. And I don't know if I can learn all these things. There's too much, to learn nonviolent communication. I don't, and she looks at him and she said this. She goes, just as she was in her 80s. She says, don't worry. Just remember, if it comes from the heart, there's never any waste. That's the summary to me. Dimitri, you have any questions for me? Anything you'd love to share, explore, or learn today? Do?
Well, I have a heart and I don't have any questions. And I love the idea how you summarize that this is the key point, just coming. Yeah, it cannot go wrong if you come from the heart. And I'm touched by everybody, and I'm touched by how you shared this in in a way. Just it reminded me once more, just be with your heart, and this is all what we do in the end.
Mhm. Thanks. Yeah, it's really it's touching to be in this circle, because what is happening here is, although I am leading, you're all a part of what this is, an empathic field. It's a real thing. I live in an intentional community for 34 years, still do, with my family. And you can feel, you walk into the community, you can feel something. It's like you walk into an ancient forest and you can feel something. There's connection that grows over time. And this is the beginning right here of community. There's a felt sense of something that's emerging. That's how I understand community. And again, what moves me to be here, it's like I have to keep things really simple for myself to go, this is my direction, because there's so many things that are really messed up in the world, and I do want to contribute. How do I do it? So what I've come to is this: my activism is community, because I believe in community is where we will develop the skills that we need. In fact, we'll reclaim them, because we've lost a lot of them as humans. Like I said earlier on, feeling, we think. It's important, but our ability as a species to feel is somewhat atrophied. It's somewhat, it's not so strong, but we can reclaim it. And that's, again, the work. Anyway, I could talk a lot about that, but I also want to share a little bit more about what I'll be doing in our sessions. Any ways that we can get back to that sense of connection and feeling it and remembering it and building that in that place we can come back to again and again and again as we practice. It becomes, that's what we want to head toward. That's what it feels like. We'll keep doing that in many different ways. And I also bring in physical practices, which will be really fun in person. You can do that over the internet, and I do all the time. But I'll be sharing some movement practices. And again, anything that'll make your personal practice more interesting, fun, and meaningful is what will build those new ways of being. So I'm wondering if we, how much time do we have left, Neda?
10 minutes.
Okay. I would love, first of all, I would like to end with a practice that, again, you can take home and practice, and we'll be exploring. But that one practice keep in mind, next time you find yourself talking, to go, okay, what would happen if I took all those words and I put it right here and I had to say something in half a sentence? That was one practice we did today that I find very useful. This one I call Meta, what's that thought?
I just realized that I am hiding my vulnerability behind too many words. And
Join
that
the,
just
yeah.
that
What?
just happened 2 hours ago when I was talking, and I was like, what the hell am I even trying to say? So I caught myself in the moment. I was like, just like, and then coming from one side, the other side, third side, like I could keep talking, but then I actually stopped. And fortunately, a person in front of me said, like, I need to go to the toilet. And I was like, thank God. And then I said, like, I prefer not even to discuss about that because I was not willing to be vulnerable. And I knew why. But then I at least had a moment to say, I prefer not to talk about it. So that was, I really appreciate that, well, my insight. But sometimes I speak too much.
Yeah. So here again, just for fun or not fun, whatever. If when you were talking to the people before and now, if you take all those things that were said and put them just in your heart for just a moment and ask your heart, what is it that I really would love to what is it that is wanting to be said? Just in a half sentence, heart, and see if it answers you. And what's your first thought?
I would like to be seen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, everybody notice how that lands on you in this empathic field. Notice that. This is when that comes up, give it space, but notice it. Often it's too powerful and we just want to keep talking. That's one of the most common things in strategies is when you're nervous to talk. So one thing we'll be working with together is nonverbal communication and all that's happening underneath. But thank you. That was, again, we don't have time to really unfold it other than I just want to note that was very powerful what you just said. For me, Meta. And as I look around the room, I know I could watch it reverberate. Is that true for you guys? Y'all? Okay. This is what we can learn to see and notice. It's so okay. Let's do this last practice. I don't like rushing things, but I would love to share it just as an example. And I really do hope to see you at the training. And I want to just thank again Dimitri and Meta and Anita for all the work you're doing to make it possible. I'm really excited to come there. Okay, let's all stand up. And feel free to. If you don't want to, you could do it in your head sitting down, but I like to do it standing up. And movement, you think about it, we learn to speak and communicate through movement. I'm watching my grandchildren, how they learn movement to build new habits. It's a good thing. Rub your hands together. And put your warm hands on your heart. Just appreciate your own heart. And then connect your heart to your belly. Wake up your belly. You know, that intuition, that gut sense. Wake it up and appreciate your belly. Appreciate your own intuition. And then then connect your hands to the earth, pointing down to the earth. There we go. And take a moment and just in your own way, appreciate the earth, the ground you stand on. You can even ask the earth, is there anything it wants to tell you today? Notice your first thought. And then turn your palms behind you to the teachers in your life, the ancestors, you know, the ones who are healthy and whole, not the crazy ones today. Take a moment, appreciate those who came before you. You know, the great teachers who've come and gone. Kind of feel that support at your back for a minute. And then put your hands to your left and right. And take a moment to appreciate those who walk beside you, like this group here. Your partners, your associates, your friends. Find your own way to find a little appreciation there. And then move your hands to those in front of you, the young ones, the ones who'll go into the future, probably places we'll never go, but we support them and they remind us to play in the beauty of their innocence and tenderness. Now, gather all your relationships now to a large bowl, a large cup, chalice, and drink it up. Go through the motions of drinking it up until you're full. Until you're full. And when you're full, you bring your hands down and open to the possibilities in your life. This is a place of fullness, of giving and receiving. And from there, I'd like to just come back to our seats. Again, look at who we're with. And I like to, you know, I come from a martial art tradition, but of Aikido, peaceful martial art. And, you know, when we learn together, and again, to me, anyway, just take a moment in your own way. Please unmute. And again, the work that happened, we went deep in some places for sure. It was very touching. And we all contributed to that, every one of us here. So take a moment to appreciate that we all held the space and to look around once more. And in your own way, I tend to bow and just say, thank you all. But say, you know, just appreciate the group. All right. And feel free to unmute. And look at who you are. There we go. Thank you all. I'm really looking forward to being there, so in person. Anita, can I ask you, you know, I notice you're a little liquid there, and is there anything?
Yeah.
No,
I would like to share. It was this summer I am many times alone.
Mhm.
And I'm going over something, and this exercise, when I kind of feel the people behind me and with me and in front of me, it was a really realization that I'm not alone. I'm never alone. A nice completeness in myself that I'm never alone. I just need to remember who I'm with. So I'm grateful for.
Oh, beautiful. I could only wish that that's what you would get out of that, because that's how I see it too. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So again, in our workshop, we'll be working that and making that more visceral. So much support at your back right now too. Is there anything, again, when we start moving with the body, it gets really, we're right there. So when we're working together, we'll be moving nice and slow and with a lot of care. So thank you again. It's really an honor to be with you all.
Oh, thank you, David, for presenting a little piece of your intention in your workshops. And yeah, I'm open if there may be any questions about the event, the SAYIT that we're gonna have in November. And
Yeah, any other?
an email, but you can also maybe just, if there is a question here. If not, I will send an email after that, and you will be also able to see the recording once more. And I'm really hopeful that I see some of you or many of you.
Yeah, I'm open to questions too about what we did today too. Sorry, I interrupted, but I just wanted to.
No, I just noticed that we are over time, so I'm kind of just honoring.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the plate of food my wife made me. Look at this. You want to see something pretty? Look at this.
Ooh.
Looks good.
From the garden. Oh, by the way, Judith will be there too. She's one of the trainers, my wife. She's pretty cool. So, and she's a NBC trainer, certified, all that, and she lives that empathic place a lot. So just her presence will be really a wonderful addition. And more, of course. Any other questions for me today from anyone? All right, well then I'm gonna head off, and lots of love. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
shall.
Thank you.
every one of you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.